For many big purchasing decisions in your life, there are usually systems in place to protect your downside. Think about if you were buying a home. You would get a home inspection. A third party comes in to tell you the condition of the home. Think about if your financial advisor gave you advice to buy a mutual fund. You could go and you check out a Morningstar report, a third-party report on whether or not it's a good decision to buy that mutual fund. I don't even buy a pair of socks on Amazon unless it's got 4 stars from everybody that's bought it before, right? These are natural things that are built into our life to better understand if it's a good decision to buy this or not. Because you don't only want to take the advice from the person that's selling it to you, because often you're going to get half-truths or part of the story because they're financially motivated to sell this thing for you. Same is true when you're buying a franchise. You don't want to just talk to a single franchisor who's financially motivated and is only going to give you part of the story, the good side, right? That's where Franchise Sidekick comes in. We've got a process to help protect your downside when buying a franchise. So Tyler, let's talk about this process, right? It's a 7-step process, all designed to help somebody get the inside information and be informed when buying a franchise. Tell me a little bit about it.
I mean, you said some good stuff there, but can you imagine buying a business and not using an expert? Just think about it. Just sit back and think about it. You made some great points there. You buy everything else with reviews, and then you're going to make the biggest decision of your life without an expert. It's crazy to think about. So step number 1 is find somebody to help you. Find a consultant, find an advisor that's going to help you through this process. Then you got to figure out if that's a good fit for you, right? So do you like that person? Do they have experience? What's their track record? Do they own businesses now? So make sure that consultant, that person helping you, that advisor is going to be somebody you're going to mesh with really well. They're going to help you make the biggest decision of your life.
Okay, step number 2, that we introduce them to an advisor. What happens there?
The first thing they do is they have an intro call, and that is important, right? You want to make sure that you like this advisor. They've got great experience. You're going to mesh well. They're going to help you make the best and biggest decision of your life. So you got to make sure you're going to mesh with them really well. So that intro call is number 1. And then you go on to the franchise fit survey. So you're going to complete a survey. We take that information, we come back, and then we have a franchise fit consultation where you get to start to see the brands. It's like Christmas, right? They're going to take the information you gave them and they're going to start to analyze it, and they're going to show them a couple brands.
So I want to go back to that survey because it was created after helping people find thousands and thousands of franchises to buy, right? And we looked at several categories. How much time can they put into the business? How much money can they afford? What are their business preferences? What are their chances of success? What are their growth needs? How much do they want to be involved in the community, right? There's 6 specific areas we dive into to make sure that they are reducing their risk and finding the right franchise. And then again, so they go and they get introduced to the franchise brands. We take 4,000 franchise brands in the country. We narrow it down to about 100 or a little more than 100 of brands that we believe in, that we vetted. But now we have to narrow it down to the specific ones that are right for that client. How do we do that?
Well, you said something really good there. So let's go back to the whole brands and how we assign brands and kind of figure out these brands. So a lot of people reach out to us with a brand in mind and they say, oh, I love this brand or I love this brand. And after they go through this process, they fill out that franchise fit survey. They typically buy, in fact, 82% of the time, they buy a different brand. So it goes to show that we take that information you just described, and our advisors are exceptional in what they do. And that's why we come away with a different brand, because they didn't know what they didn't know, right? It's easy to drive down the street and buy a house and say, I love that house. But once that realtor starts to talk to you about the roof and the foundation and all the stuff that needs to happen to it, you're like, oh, it's not for me, right? So I don't want to gloss over that because that's important for us.
Well, I think about it like a financial advisor. I might go to my financial advisor and say, I want to buy Berkshire Hathaway. And he'll say, that's a great stock. But what are your criteria? What do you really want? Do you want long-term growth, short-term growth, high risk, low risk, whatever? And that's what we can do with a franchise. It's more about the characteristics of the business that someone's looking for than that specific brand, 82% of the time.
Perfect. Yep.
We introduce them to the right people at a franchise brand, the people that have the insider information, the people that are going to be knowledgeable about giving them what they need to make an informed decision. What does that look like?
Well, once again, real estate analogy, this person's the seller's agent, right? This person is going to try to sell you on this franchise brand. Our job as a buyer's agent is to make sure that you're being told what you need to be told, and you essentially turn into a coach. So our advisors will coach throughout the process, and they're preparing you for the discovery process and for potentially buying a franchise. So the whole time you're going through, you're learning about financials, you're talking to existing franchisees, you're really going through and learning everything there is to know about this brand. And our advisors are now the coach helping you throughout the process.
Right. And they'll give you our advisors will give clients many resources to make sure that they're asking the right questions to those franchise brands, looking into the right areas, thinking about the right type of funding, preparing them to reduce their risk if they decide they want to move forward with that franchise.
And a lot of it's experience, right? Like you don't typically want a realtor who's never sold a house, right? Our guys, they own businesses themselves and they own franchises. They've probably worked with thousands of clients. They have worked with these brands for hundreds and hundreds of different clients over the years. They know them inside and out. So they're going to be able to sit there and say, they told you that, but like, take a look at this, or like, look at the FTD. I've seen this before. I've got a great attorney that can look at this. So they're very good. And it's those soft skills that make our advisors exceptional.
Yeah, access to experts also so important. All right, so one of our clients may be looking at a few brands, and through the education, or what we call the discovery process, narrow it down from, let's say, I started looking at 3 brands down to 2 and eventually down to the one that I feel most confident would fit my business outcome. So now I get invited to a confirmation day. What does that look like?
You said it perfectly. So they're going to sit there and they're going through this process. It could take 4 to 6 weeks. They're going to learn about each of these brands, reduce it down to 1, and then boom, we have that great brand we really like. They're going to invite them to confirmation day. They're going to go out to that corporate location and they're going to really meet the executive team. They're going to see the widget or the retail store or the machine, the truck, whatever it looks like, right? And they're going to see the marketing team. They're going to meet all those people and they're going to come away hopefully with a really good feeling that that was the brand and the correct brand for them.
Right. So they come back from confirmation day. They decide, yes, I either want to move forward with this franchise brand or not, assuming they get approved.
Yep.
That's a big misconception that just going to confirmation day doesn't mean you're approved. The franchisor is also looking at the client saying, this is somebody that I need to work with for the next 10 years. This is somebody that I'm going to have a close working relationship with. So they're going to want to pick high quality franchisees as well. They can only sell that territory one time. But assuming franchisor likes client, client likes franchisor, they decide they want to move forward. What's it look like from there?
Yeah. So at that point, you'd sign a franchise agreement and then you'd be ready to go into training after that. So you're set up, ready to rock and roll. But like, go back to what you said, because this is a very common misconception. We deal with some of the best brands in the world. And a lot of times they have very high demand. And so if you're not top of mind, if you're not the perfect client or candidate for them, they're not going to approve you.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. So again, I kicked off this video by talking about when you buy a home, you get a home inspection. When you look at buying a mutual fund, you can check out a Morningstar report. I even said when I buy something on Amazon, I want to look at the number of stars, right? Our process helps somebody identify everything they need to know about that brand. They ask the insider questions. They make sure they get third-party validation, and then they can decide if they want to move forward with that franchise brand. Just like everything else in the world, we got to make sure we take the right steps, follow the right process, because this could be the biggest financial decision of your life.
Keep in mind, this service is free. You know, like it doesn't make sense to make that decision without working with an expert along your side, because we've negotiated all the pricing, you know, with the brands themselves. So it's a free service.
Yep, there's no downside.